This is Peggy Connell with Connell Research Consulting, and this short video will explain how to have different top margins on a dissertation manuscript in Word. What you see in front of you is a title page, a draft title page for Stanford University following their directions, and I will use their information from their dissertation manual. However, this can be applicable to anyone. Just make sure you know what your institution requires, but usually you have to have different top margins in a dissertation throughout. So you need to be able to format your document, do it before you start writing one word, and then you can ignore that and go through and pay more attention and give your time to the content and your research design and your study. So, for most dissertations have to have a different top margin for the first page of a chapter. And you see this here. This is chapter 1. There's a 2-inch top margin for requirement for this institution. Now the content here is just some content that Dr. Jane Kobe and I had for a paper that we presented at MSERA several years ago. And I just use this some of the content just to kind of give you a feel of how the flow looks for a chapter. So you see that this chapter has a 2-inch top margin, but the other pages in the chapter do not. And then you have a 2-inch top margin for chapter 2, the first page, and again the rest does not. So how do you get it to appear like this without manually doing this? You need to format. If you don't format your document correctly, you'll not be able to maintain the appropriate directions. So before you ever begin typing one word of your dissertation, I highly recommend that you set your document up. And the first thing you need to do is to set the margins. So when you're ready to do your document, you are in the Home tab, the Home ribbon. Select Layout in the Home ribbon. Go to Margins. Go to Custom Margins. And then put your margins for what the majority of the dissertation requires. And so for most of the pages in this dissertation, you have a 1-inch top margin. You always have a 1.5-inch left margin, and you always have a 1-inch right and bottom margin. And then you want to apply to whole document and click OK. So that sets up your basic document. However, you're going to have to then format it, so just the first page of each of the title pages or whatever your institution requires has a different top margin, which is 2 inches for this institution. So what you need to know, 2 basic things: how to use the section break next page and how to use a section break continuous. When you learn those two clicks, it will be easy and you can have more time to devote to your content. So before we start, go back up to the ribbon, select Home. And what I always recommend doing is to turn on this paragraph sign right here. It's in this paragraph box. So you turn on Paragraph. And this kind of shows you what you've done. You'll see it tells you if you have a section break continuous or a section break next page. These paragraph signs show where you have a hard return. So to make sure to change, to have the next page is chapter 1 in this instance, and you want this margin to be different. So you have to use a section break next page, and then you have to use a section break continuous. What I want to do now is to show you an unedited version of this. Same exact thing, I just haven't formatted it. So here this is. You first check your layout Make sure your margins are correct. And when they're all correct, be sure to say to the whole document, hit OK. Then you go to Home. You turn on the paragraph sign, and then you see where I have hard break. So you see this, it's a hard break and so forth. I have a next page right here, so we really don't need that because I need a section break next page. I want to take that away. And you see how chapter 1 comes right up. So right here, I put my cursor on the very last word on the page prior to chapter 1, which happens to be, in this instance, the title page. Put your cursor there. Go to Layout in the ribbon at the top of your screen. Go to Breaks. And Breaks is right here in this page setup. So you go to Breaks, come down to Section Break, and say Section Break Next Page. Click that, and there you are. And sometimes you'll have extra space like I did there, so just make your adjustment, make sure you have it. Now, you want to put your cursor at the very end of the words Chapter 1, or whatever is the title for this page, the last word. You again go to the ribbon at the top, choose Layout, Breaks, and this time you'll choose Section Break Continuous. And you see this will of course disappear when I take off my paragraph sign. Sometimes it adds extra space, so just delete that. So now I know I have a section break next page, which gave me my chapter 1 title on the next page. And right after chapter 1, I have a section break continuous, which means I will not have a page break. Now, place your cursor anywhere in the title, chapter 1. Go to the Layout tab in the ribbon. Go to Margins, drop down arrow, go all the way down to Custom Margin. And this time at the top, put 2 inches. So I'll just use my arrow to get to 2 inches. Everything else remains the same. I go to and select Apply to this section. In other words, before it said whole document, but this section means just that section before the section break continuous. Click OK, and there I have it, a 2-inch margin. And as you see, there is a 1-inch margin the next pages, all the way down. It's that simple. So let's see if we can do it for chapter 2. Again, you see I have a page break, a hard page break. Need to take that off. Put my cursor at the very last words, paragraph, sentence, punctuation in chapter 1. Go to Layout in the ribbon. Go to Breaks. And I want to say Section Break Next Page, because I want chapter 2 to appear on the next page. Adjust if you have any kind of extra lines. Then put your cursor at the very end of the word chapter 2. Go to Layout in the top ribbon of your screen. Go to Breaks in the page setup block. This time go to Section Break and put Continuous. Make adjustments if necessary. You see I have it's a Section Break Continuous. Place your cursor anywhere on the words Chapter 2. Go to Layout in the ribbon. Go to Margins. Go to Custom Margins. Select 2 for the top margin, and the others will remain the same. Apply to this section. Select OK, and you see the top margin for the first page of chapter 2 is 2 inches. The others are 1 inch. So you just continue that all the way through your document. Whenever you change pages, you need to, if it's a new section, use not a hard return or not a page break, but rather a section break. And so if you understand the difference between section break next page and section break continuous, you can do a lot with this document and make it a lot easier for you to get that information together. Hope this helps. If you need anything else, please contact me, and I'll be glad to help you find the answer.